Good morning, YouTube. My name is Amisbro. For this video, we are going to be doing another anime review. This time, we are doing Tales of Zestiria X, or to be more specific, Tales of Zestiria: The Cross. That is literally the way it is referred to. Now, what do we think of this series? Well, let's talk about its story first. Its story and its premise is based off of the video game Tales of Zestiria. Okay? In it, we have a lot of political and racial and race things going on here, because you've got a political thing going on with Lady Lake, which is in the Highland, and that is governed by Princess Alicia. Pretty cool, right? Then you've got another kingdom, which you find out about later, and they want to fight them and basically kick their ass. Not to mention, not to mention, at least one of the ranking officials, one of the lords of Lady Lake, wants to take over the shepherd that would appear if someone could successfully draw the blade which is in the kingdom. And I'll explain about that maybe in a minute. So, going through this, we have a very, very interesting situation. Because we have that, but then we also have this. We have Sori and McLeo. Sori is a human. McLeo is a Seraphim. Seraphims come in many different, we'll call them, varieties. You have your earth, your fire, your water. You get the idea. They control different elements. These guys typically can't be seen by humans. Well, maybe special ones. Sori is one of them. Sori somehow ended up in this one village, and because of this, he gained the ability, or had the ability, to see and hear the citizens of the village. But there's just one thing. They were actually pretty strict about humans being there. Why? Because they figured that they would cause some type of despair to where they lived. So you can imagine, in some cases, the prejudices that were going to be going on there, at least for a little bit. Well, Sori and Mick also are archaeologists. They enjoy exploring different ruins and finding many, many different things about them. Well, this is where we get our actual first encounter with Alicia. I'm sorry, I drew a blank for a second. Sori and McLeo around the first couple episodes, and the episodes literally will fly by. Between the prologue episode, which is technically episode 0, all the way through to the final episode, heaven forbid, 23 minutes doesn't last long. This is one of those series where they don't have to pad anything. The episodes literally just go tick, 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 tick. And you're like, holy shit, can you slow down for a minute so I can try to remember names? I have that problem when I was trying to watch episodes of Detective Conan. Everybody's name's going 100 miles an hour and you're trying to remember everything. You're like, slow the fuck down, will you? Anyway. As the series goes on, you find out about the situations not just with Sori and Mick, but you also find out about, like I said, the political struggles, and even in some cases, the race things. At least that's what I call it, the race things between Seraphims and humans because of issues that have happened in the past. And then, of course, we also find out that there's going to be a festival, and don't you know, Alicia's trying to find the next shepherd. And if she can do that, well then maybe Lady Lake will have a chance at surviving, and also maybe the entire world would have that chance, because this person would be able to fight off the different Hylians that would emerge from Malevolence. Malevolence is basically bad thoughts, by the way. And if you ever notice, when a Seraphim gets around the presence of that, they start to feel sick. Shepherds, when they apparently when they're around it, they can really start to feel it also. So, something to think about. That's basically your overview of the story. I'm not going to get into everything about it. Well, I may get into a couple other things, but let's move on. Animation-wise, it is some of the best animation I have seen, and it is actually a joy to see. Now, am I going to say it's better than, say, A1 Pictures? Can't do that. Even if I wanted to. I couldn't do. I can't even tell you it's better than Production IG. But I do like it. I liked it a lot. Although, to a degree, I did think that the characters, while they did look three-dimensional, sometimes when they were walking, they looked a little flat. Now, you could say that about any anime, but in this one, because of the way they were drawn, which the characters in some cases were drawn, and I know this is the way they were probably drawn in the game, but they were drawn brighter, if that makes any sense. So if there's a bright background, you almost, in some cases, unless you can, like, you know, see their clothes, you almost would lose them to a degree. And sometimes even the hair color can get lost in the background, I think. But then maybe that's just me that noticed that. The pacing of the episodes, like I said, I have no issue with, in the least. I loved it because it was going. The episodes, 23-minute episodes, just flies by, and that was something that, if you've heard me do reviews in the past, you know is something that's a big pet peeve of mine. Because sometimes an episode can just drag, and you're literally looking at your watch going, because it's like, you want the episode to be done. You want to be able to move on, because you got things you want to do. Well, guess what? If the episode has a case of drag ass, you can't do it. Fortunately here, that's not the case. Our dear friends know that you've got things you want to do. There is one thing I want to talk about when it comes to the story, though. There are 13 episodes, 12 if you actually take out the prologue. 2 of the episodes, or actually maybe just 3, don't belong to Tales of Zestiria. They belong to, I believe it's Tales of Zestiria. Somebody will correct me in the comments. Now, this wouldn't be so bad, and actually, when you find out that there's actually going to be a second season, it's not nearly as bad and as egregious as I was going to make it be, because I would have killed it otherwise. But when you take this detour, which is about 2 or 3 episodes, you're trying to progress the story for the original series that you're watching. It's like it's like somebody decided, let's stick a 2 to 3 episode OVA in the middle of this series. Because that's essentially what they did. By the way, I've come to find out one of the characters is voiced by Tomoaki Maino. Why didn't the fuck anybody tell me? No, seriously, why didn't anybody tell me? It's, you know. Like, Maino's literally become one of my favorite voice actors. I'm not even going to lie about that. But I'm watching this, and I'm loving it. And, like, I really... Here's the weird thing. I love the Zestiria story. When they went from, you know, when they started that from the prologue to the end. I had a hard time watching the Zestiria thing because they stuck it in the middle. They didn't take it and put it off to the side. And I'm wondering if that's something they actually do in the game. Because if it is, then okay, fine. But to put this 2 or 3 episodes in the middle of your series or towards the end of it is jarring, because you're used to a certain set of characters. By the time you do this, you're trying to get used to these characters now, but you know they're not going to be there much longer. So you're like, what was the point of that? That was maybe my big issue. Well, there was also this. They did something interesting with this series. Because of the thing between humans and Seraphims, Alicia can't see or hear them at first when she meets McLeo and when she meets Layla, as we come to find out her name is. So, here's what happens. Suri introduces the different Seraphims to her, but she couldn't see them or hear them. So they do a thing where they do an exercise that she can at least see. That she can see and hear them, but they say over time she'll be able to do it without any odd exercises, we'll call it. Alright, cool, fine, sweet. There's one thing though, like maybe 2 or 3 episodes later, after this one in particular, that the thing happened, they do another thing where out of the blue she can see and hear the person, no problem. So you're sitting there going, I thought you said it was going to take time. It didn't feel like it took any time. And it felt like they sped it up because they didn't know if they were going to do a second season, or even if they did know they were going to do a second season, they felt like they had to get it out of the way now, because if they wait, then people are going to go, well, is she ever going to be able to do it? And then maybe it's also a thing of, because they're trying to stay faithful to the source material, maybe that's why they did it that way. I don't know, because remember, I never played the game, so I don't know how long it takes her in the actual game canon to go and learn how to do it. Because it's even funnier how, as quickly as she learned, it seems like she forgot, because closer to the end of this first season, or this particular season, it's almost like they pulled the trick where she can't see them, but she can hear them. Because if she could see them, they would have shown up visible, either next to or behind Suri. And again, that was probably one of the most unique things they did, because they pulled what I like to call the Harvey trick. You ever see that movie? I believe Jimmy Stewart was in it. I saw it when I was a kid. The idea is that the guy, Stewart's character, had an imaginary friend who was this big giant bunny, but he could see it and hear it, and nobody else couldn't, so everybody thought he was nuts. So here, what they did was, Alicia, can't see or hear, that's for the moment, well, she can hear them now, but she can't really see them yet, the Seraphims. So she's talking to them, but you literally look at it like she's talking to herself. You know, like when I'm recording these videos, it sounds like I'm talking to myself, which I am, but I'm also talking to you. That's kind of like what we have going on here. But that was a very, very, very interesting plot device that they put in, and it was one that I was actually amused by. Because you sat there and went, okay, how you going to do this? But they did it. God bless them. And I love it dearly. I also love how, like they said, that they did the whole political thing. And they're working that in. And they're going to be going, obviously, into a second season with it. So we get to see how it culminates and ends if it's ended by the end of the second season, or second cour, as they call it, cour. That will be something to look at and to examine as we go through the next season next year. Next year is season 2. I talked about the animation. I talked about the story progression. The one thing I always like to talk about is the emotional attachment to characters, and this show does have it. To me, even if you haven't played the game, you can get engrossed and immersed into the world, and by the end, because I was watching the 4 episodes straight up, the final 4, I was damn near bawling my eyes out because of things that happened. I won't tell you what, but things happened. Because there was also certain revelations that occurred through the course of the series that make the first season that makes you go, whoa, okay, this is awesome. I can work with this. And because of that, like I said, being able to connect to the characters, it makes the time go by, which makes the episodes not nearly as boring as they could be, especially if you don't know the material. Do you get what I'm saying? I'm going to refer to that over and over again. If you don't understand the source material of a game sometimes, it's harder to really get invested. When we are looking at this, because it's an RPG, it can be even trickier. Otomes can be easier to get a grip on, because when they introduce characters to you, you're not having to deal with a very big cast sometimes. You're only dealing with a select group, and then you're good. We'll talk about UtaPri in a second, in another video coming up, because here's the thing, when it comes to UtaPri, they introduce a set cast, then they bring in new characters, they introduce them to you, make sure you get to know them, then they've brought in obviously new ones, as we will discuss in another video. But with that, this is what I'm going to say. This series was, for the summer season, of the ones that I did watch to completion, this is one of the most fun I've ever had, because I enjoy a good JRPG, I love action, I love a lot of things. I love seeing the relationship, however you want to look at it, between, and we all know the way the canon is, I love seeing the relationship between Soria and Miglio. I love seeing the way eventually Mick ended up not being disgusted by Alicia. My one issue with him, with his character, in his first meeting with Alicia, now this could be because Soria was kind of pushing him towards her. That's fine, if that's the case. Because they showed him looking at her, going and getting all bug-eyed, but then gave one of those expressions, and I sat there and I went, okay, so what are they trying to get across when it comes to Miglio, when it comes to Alicia? What was interesting was, whatever they were trying to get across with that scene, it felt like, here's my one issue with that. If you're going to do that reaction, there has to be some kind of follow-up to it. Why did the character do that? A. And then B, what is the follow-up? Will there be some type of progression towards a understanding, alliance, whatever, between those two characters. Eventually there was, but it was almost like the reaction from that particular scene never really got addressed, it felt like. That's my issue. Like, it's cool to say, over time you'll get to be able to strengthen yourself so you can see and hear. That's cool. But my big issue was, and I understand they only had 12 episodes technically, to deal with that issue, and they didn't think it was a big enough one to go with, but it's still something that needed to have some type of resolution, I think. Why did he act that way? Well, maybe he's not a big fan. Obviously, he's not a big fan of humans. He came around to Soria, obviously, but when it came to a female, his reaction of repulsion seemed a little bit, And that part bugged me just a little bit. Why is he repulsed around a woman? You get what I'm saying? Look, I'm going to just say this right now. If you're gay, but you feel that you have to, you know, when you meet a woman, or someone from the opposite gender, you have to pull back and recoil in some way. That's a problem. I'm just saying. Because look, with me, one way or the other, it don't matter. You know, I don't care if you're male, female, transgender, whatever. That's the other thing. But my point is, when I saw that scene, I went, what's his problem? And they didn't really follow up on it, and that was my big hang up. Obviously, because I'm still yapping about it. But nonetheless, this was, like I said, the most fun I had for the summer season, and this is the final review for the summer season. We're going to get ready to move on to the fall season, which starts this Saturday with UtaPri, and the first episode, from what I understand, it's already going to get interesting, kids. Also, while I'm thinking of it, and I'll just go ahead and jam this in the video, beginning Tuesday to Friday for the UtaPri countdown, what we are doing is you're going to get a second stage impression and a fifth stage impression. Third and fourth you already have, but I'm going to watch through them again anyway. Anyway, you all have a good one. I will talk to you in the next video. You take care, my friends, and later days.